Have you ever actually listened, like really truly listened, to the lyrics of the nursery rhymes we sing to kids? On the surface, they seem perfectly innocent, right? Just a little sing-song rhythm, a few repetitive words. But if you scratch even a millimeter below that surface, you are going to find an astonishing amount of sheer drama, high-stakes survival, and just utter surrealism hiding in plain sight. So welcome to our latest explainer, where we're going to decode the hidden brilliance within two incredibly famous childhood classics. We pass these stories down generation after generation, completely glossing over the fact that they are, honestly, just wild, unpredictable rides. It really makes you wonder, are we teaching kids to count or are we preparing them for absolute chaos? Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to look at the hidden architectural brilliance of these traditional tales, and we'll see exactly how they use escalating disaster and dream logic to completely captivate the human brain.
All right, starting off with part one, The Epic of the Elephants, a study in escalation. Let's look at this certified classic.
You might actually know this rhyme in its original form as Ake Mota Hati. No, conventionally, adults just think of this as a harmless, simple counting exercise. 1 to 5. Easy enough, right? But if we map the elephant count against the actual narrative obstacles they face, wow, it reveals a completely different story. Look at elephant number 1. The threat here is entirely natural. Heavy rain and scary dark clouds. It's a plausible fear. But watch what happens as the numbers grow. The actual physics of this universe begin to completely break down. 2 elephants get stuck in a narrow path. Okay, still somewhat realistic. But by elephant 3, we have a multi-ton animal trying to sit on a tiny bicycle. Literally a tiny bicycle. By elephant 4, they're collapsing a whole vegetable cart under their massive weight. The absurdity scales perfectly in tandem with the numbers. We're moving rapidly from basic natural weather fears to the complete and utter structural failure of tiny bicycles and vegetable carts. So how in the world do these elephants actually survive this escalating structural failure? Well, they do it through a highly effective, repeatable pedagogical recruitment mechanism. It's an exact 3-step algorithm. Step 1, encounter a bizarre hazard. Step 2, experience total failure. And step 3, signal for backup. In the original rhyme, the phrase is idhar a, idhar a, idhar a. Basically, come here, come here, come here. It's an incredibly systematic way to build a team. Every single time the tension peaks, the elephant doesn't panic. Actually, scratch that. They just recruit. Which brings us to the ultimate climax of our counting epic. We've scaled up from rain clouds to shattered vegetable carts, and now we have a fully formed 5-elephant coalition. And what happens next? They find themselves entirely ensnared in a monkey's net. The tension is at its absolute peak here. We have 5 giant animals trapped by one very ambitious primate's trap. So the obvious question presents itself, right? How exactly does a massive 5-elephant crisis get resolved? If this were your standard action narrative, we'd expect a dramatic breakout, maybe a massive display of brute force, or some aggressive trunk-swinging action. We've been primed by all this escalating chaos to expect a massive physical struggle to untangle this immense physical entanglement. But the story beautifully subverts all of those expectations. The text simply states, they saw the monkey, laughed, and the monkey removed the net. That's it. No, really, that is the entire resolution. The conflict isn't solved by force at all. It's resolved instantly through shared laughter and nonviolent collaboration. The elephants laugh, the monkey laughs, the trap is dropped. And the aftermath of this nonviolent resolution is just purely joyful. The shared laughter leads to the monkey voluntarily removing the net, and then we get this beautiful rhythmic finale. The 5 elephants begin to sway together, or jumne and then they just dance together, nachne. The original goal of simply counting from 1 to 5 culminates in this absolutely beautiful, synchronous celebration of liberation and teamwork. It's not just a math lesson, guys. It's a masterclass in community and conflict resolution. All right, let's move on to our second rhyme, Upar Pankha Chalta Hai, the surrealist lullaby. Here, we're shifting our analytical lens over to pure, unfiltered dream logic. Now, this rhyme is widely known as Upar Pankha Chalta Hai. First, I want to look at the modular nature of this oral tradition. Over on the left side of things, we have one variation. Ajay sleeps, gets hungry, brings peanuts. But over on the right, a second variation from the exact same source material. Muni sleeps, gets hungry, and Vijay brings the peanuts. This perfectly demonstrates how these lullabies are basically built like open-source software. You can effortlessly swap out the protagonists,
literally inserting the name of whichever child you happen to be putting to sleep at that moment, while the bizarre core narrative engine remains exactly identical. And what exactly is that bizarre core narrative engine? Well, it all centers on a beautifully tragic data point, the peanut composition. According to the text, the peanut is 100% shell and 0% seed. The exact phrasing is dana nahi, there is no seed. Now, I kind of want to playfully highlight the literal emptiness of this peanut here, because this 0% seed is the crucial inciting incident of the whole story. This utter lack of a peanut seed directly causes the massive existential family crisis that immediately follows.
Yes, you heard me right, an existential family crisis. Because upon discovering the empty peanut, the singer immediately declares, "We are not your uncle," or "Hum tumhare mama nahi." Let's treat this sudden, jarring declaration of estranged family ties with the complete academic seriousness it really deserves. A child wakes up hungry, is given a subpar, seedless peanut, and the immediate logical consequence in this universe is the absolute severing of the uncle-nephew biological relationship. The familial ties are legally dissolved. Why? Simply because of a bad peanut. To truly appreciate the genius of this, let's trace this surrealist chain of association on a timeline. Phase 1, at 0 seconds, we have a sleeping child and sudden hunger. Okay, makes sense. Phase 2, 5 seconds later, the discovery of the empty peanut. We're still tracking. Phase 3, at 10 seconds, the immediate uncle denial. We are now completely off the rails. Phase 4, 15 seconds in, the suddenly disowned uncle is inexplicably exiled to the city of Coda. And Phase 5, at 20 seconds, the uncle returns from Coda with a singing parrot. Every single rapid step makes progressively less logical sense, but it flawlessly mimics the fluid, non-sequitur transitions of a sleeping child's dream state. It's just pure narrative-free association. Let's focus for a second on this Coda connection. The uncle's sudden relocation to the city of Coda and his inexplicable acquisition of a parrot is the absolute peak of this narrative absurdity. There is no preamble whatsoever. He is no longer your uncle, he goes to Coda, he buys a bird. It is a literal masterclass in introducing rapid, colorful elements to keep a fading, sleepy mind just entertained enough to not wake up completely crying, but soothed enough by the rhythm to drift off. And how exactly does this fever dream of an estranged uncle and a seedless peanut end? With a musical finale, of course. The parrot eats food, the parrot sings a song, and then the uncle sings a song. The lullaby's conflict isn't resolved with a refund for the bad peanut or, intense family therapy to repair the uncle's relationship. No, it resolves with a sudden, comforting, entirely unrelated musical number that brings rhythmic peace back to the sleeping child. So, the absolutely crucial point here is, why does any of this matter? Why have these specific bizarre stories survived for generations? It's all about the architecture of memory. These specific structures, like the escalating physical absurdity of the elephants and the fluid, dream logic surrealism of the ceiling fan and the peanut, are incredibly sticky techniques for human memory. They completely bypass strict adult logic and appeal directly to a child's sense of wonder, pattern recognition, and engagement. They are quite literally engineered to be unforgettable. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder today. When we recite these beloved classic rhymes, are we just teaching our kids to count and fall asleep? Or are we secretly, brilliantly preparing them for a beautifully chaotic world full of tiny bicycles, unexpected teamwork, and singing parrots? Thank you so much for joining this explainer. The next time you hear a nursery rhyme, I highly encourage you to listen just a little bit closer. You might be completely surprised by the wild ride hiding inside.